Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Hey, it's a great Sunday morning here with you. How are you? Sunday morning. I lost track of the day just because we're having fun this weekend. We are back here on Real Estate Exposed on News Radio 600 KOGO. I'm Daniel Beer of the Daniel Beer Group over at KW, Keller Williams Realty. And Todd Pian in Home Street Bank, always kicking butt for our borrowers. Thank you, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Happy veterans to the veterans who served over the years. I mean, you're giving me a day off on Monday to celebrate your service to our country, and we truly, truly appreciate you more than you guys ever know in keeping us safe. So hope you guys are enjoying a great Memorial long weekend, which is well-deserved, well-earned, and we needed it.
You know, servicemen in uniform, they're just like, they're people.
Yes.
They're people, and just like everybody else, we all like to be acknowledged. But I notice, and I actually used to do the same thing, but I've stopped, and I've now very openly acknowledged them. But I used to do the same thing most people do, which is kind of just pretend like they're not there and ignore them just like you'd ignore any other stranger on the street and kind of walk past them and go about your way. A lot of people actually feel like that's more respectful. You're not pointing them out. You're not calling attention to them. But the truth is, just like anybody else, especially when you're in uniform and if I'm dressed up as a realtor, right? If I'm in my suit and I'm out and somebody were to approach me and say, "Hey, you do a great job. Thank you so much for what you did down the street for me." That makes me feel incredibly good.
Right.
And acknowledging them is the same thing. They are people just like us. Acknowledge them, thank them, and by the way, thank you coming directly from me, and I know Todd wants to echo the same.
No, I mean, listen, I think it's a maturity thing, Dan, because I know as I got into my 30s, when I saw servicemen and women, I'd always say thank you for your service wherever I was. So yeah, no, I mean, we love you guys, and we wouldn't have this free country that we have today if it were not for you. So thank you, and God bless.
And for that reason, we should make sure we stay as far away from Bernie Sanders so that we can continue to have
You don't feel the burn?
A free country.
You don't feel the burn? We don't want to be a socialistic country? Why not, Dan?
Because we fought wars to not be that.
I know, but
we
are socialistic now, Dan. We're socialistic now.
Starting that as somewhat of a joke, but the reality is we truly have fought wars to not be a socialist country.
Correct.
And on this Memorial Day, just make sure you remember that. Moving on here to real estate, there is a lot going on, and we're going to just have a fun, fluid conversation here. There's just so many different topics of interest today. We might not even get time to get to all of them, but median home price in San Diego County is moving
up. $489,000 is the median home price in San Diego, which I think that a lot of people don't even realize that you can get into a home now with 3% down, 3.5% down if you're a veteran, like we just talked about, 0% down. So I mean, yeah, it's going up. So I think that we could see some changes, like you and I have talked about, Dan, over the in December and January of what the new conforming loan limits could come out to be, which will be helpful for all of us.
Yeah, I think we could see those rise, and so that'll be interesting. Todd, you're going to keep us updated on that as soon as that comes down. And
also our good friend George here on KOGO 600 AM also said did you realize the median home income in San Diego County is $109,000?
$109,000 is the median?
Median home income.
That's impressive.
Somebody who purchases a home.
That's impressively high.
Yeah, I thought that seemed a little high. But I read that this morning on last week on KOGO's website that George actually came out and said that.
That's impressively high. I would have actually, to be honest with you, I'm clearly out of
that's homeowners.
Out of tune.
That's homeowners, though. That's
homeowners.
That's homeowners.
Got it. Okay, so that starts to make better sense. But you know what?
And that's
also not a surprise.
That's combined.
But it's an established fact that when you're a homeowner, a path to wealth, a path to sustaining a great life all the way through your retirement years is through home ownership, and it's no surprise that homeowners have a greater income, have a greater net worth than those that are not homeowners. Now, you might say, well, of course, that's how they ended up being homeowners. They were making more money. But I'll have, I have a client. I have a client that I've always just really admired what he's been able to do, okay? Because since he got into the workforce, young guy, he was about 24 years old, working for Sempra Energy, okay? And he started off just at a, regular old position, just like anybody else. I don't know what he was making at the time. Might have been $45,000, $50,000. I don't remember.
Right.
But got himself into the right purchase, right time, low down payment. I don't remember what it was anymore, but I think it was less than 5% down payment. And then did a really good job of having a savings plan. And so he got him, his first property, did a really great job of saving, and then all of a sudden was to the point where he's working a regular job, right? He doesn't have he wasn't a business owner. He wasn't making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe he'd gotten a raise at this point to $60,000 or to $65,000, $70,000, and he suddenly had a second property that he then was able to cash flow positive and turn into a rental.
His first property or his second property?
His second property. Property.
So you actually bought it as an investment property.
The second one.
That's cool.
And then what you have fast forward is, again, granted his income has been rising, but fast forward, and I think he owns 3 or 4 different properties, has a net worth of who knows what, because I haven't asked him, but I'm sure it's up above $500,000.
Right.
And he's still a young guy, just recently married. And guess what? He's built this on not a multi-$100,000 income, but rather on sound home ownership principles, and savings.
That's awesome.
And that's what anybody can do. That's what you can do.
That's what America's all about, isn't it, Dan? I mean, really, let's take that socialistic comment you just made, but that's what America's all about: opportunity and capitalism, and the ability to grow net worth for your children's children. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, that's a great story. That is a great story. We should actually have this guy on the show one time.
So when is it not a great time to rent, right? That time not being great to rent is now. I myself, and God bless him, and I hope he's not listening, but I bought a condo not long ago here. I bought a condo in North Park.
Right.
Okay, so I bought that condo in North Park where I'm cash flow positive, about $400 a month. My tenant, meanwhile, is paying my mortgage, paying me to own it, paying my maintenance, paying my HOA, paying my taxes for me, and I get to build wealth as a result of it. Now,
he's actually probably paying for your wife to go to the beauty salon.
And paying for that.
Right.
There's no doubt. and the thing is he could have bought that same condo, and he didn't have to have 20% down or 30% down. He could have bought that same condo with 5% down or 10% down.
3.5% down.
3.5%, depending. Right. Exactly. So you need to find out what your options are as we move into this new market cycle that we're moving into, okay? Things are shifting. Interest rate environment will be rising. There's no doubt about it. And you need to figure out how you can lock into today's rates. Call us. Let's find out and put a plan together that makes sense for you, that is sustainable, that's not painful, and that has you on the road to being able to build wealth. 800-676-2420. That's the way to connect with Todd or I. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 KOGO here. Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin. If you want to connect with us, call 800-676-2420. And we're talking about what America's all about. I'll tell you, that might be changing because millennials, my goodness, what are you doing at home still?
At 34 years old.
I'm shocked by what we're seeing. There's a huge demographic shift. It's going to affect all of us and the housing market. That's coming up. Do you have a grown man or woman living in your home? Odds are you do. Odds are you do, because you're listening back. By the way, we're back here on Real Estate Exposed. Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin.
I cannot believe you just started off with that.
Well, odds are you do. 20%.
It's 1 in 5.
Of 55 to 64-year-old people have a 20 Excuse me.
18 to
have
34.
An 18 to 34-year-old living in their home.
Was that okay? Are they living in your home because they like the home cooked meals, the free laundry service? Why are they living in your home? That's my question. What's the article tell you, Dan? What does it say? Why are they living in their home?
So Todd and I read, we came across an article that just made our eyes pop open. We couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Because we both have young kids, so we're both a little scared, actually.
Yeah, I thought, my kid's only 2 years old. I still don't even know. Who knows what I'm in for here?
Yeah, happy birthday to your son, because my daughter just turned 2 on Friday. Your son was born 5 days before my daughter, 22nd.
No, so my son's birthday will actually be on Tuesday, but we are celebrating him today. Today's his cool little birthday party.
Cool.
And it's just so fun.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're going to do it Saturday. Her birthday. Oh, we did it on Saturday. Her birthday was on Friday.
Happy birthday to you guys. Happy birthday to us. But seriously, there's some of these numbers are shocking.
Here's a great idea. I'm going to have Levy. I'm going to have Levy and Lillian. I think I'm just going to have them hook up, because then they could live with you and your wife.
There you go.
That makes my life so much easier.
So there is a huge percentage of millennials living at home right now, and it's really actually having an effect on the housing market. And there's so many different angles on this and reasons and theories on why this is happening. But here's a few things that are real, right? From 2000 to 2014, the wages for millennials, for young men, they dropped 34%. Okay. Meanwhile, you have this stacking student debt issue, which is really a systemic problem in our country.
Yes.
A massive problem that hopefully one of our presidential candidates can take very seriously and really push to the top of the list on what needs to be addressed.
Well, FHA, though, just changed their qualifications on this as well.
Yeah,
so
this is huge.
This is really bad. So before, if you had student loans and you were in deferment on your student loans, we didn't have to hit you for the payment on the student loans. Now FHA is requiring us to hit you for at least 1% of the payment on your student loans, which could be it's going to be a game changer. Again, Dan and I always talk about the vintage and the quality of the buyers that are buying, so they can actually afford your homes. We're not going to go into another financial crisis again. Well, it's going to create a better vintage, I think, of FHA buyers, but it's also going to make it harder for people who have college degrees to qualify when they are, when they've got their sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt on deferment. I don't know about you, Dan, but I think about 5 years ago I finally paid off my student loans. It took me.
I was blessed enough not to have them.
Well,
to be quite honest with you, my parents just made that, cornerstone of what they did with when they were raising us, and just
awesome,
made sure we weren't going to have student loans.
Did you have a big family? You have a couple people in your family.
Well, you know what? We come from Mexico City.
Right.
I'm originally I was born in Mexico City, so were my parents, so were all my grandparents, and then, everybody says, you're a white guy and your last name is Beer. Right. Don't very much look Mexican.
Right.
And that's because before my grandparents, all of my great-grandparents, they came from Eastern Europe and actually parts of, actually had one from Turkey, one from Syria, most of them from Poland, Lithuania, Russia, etc., Ukraine. And they all ended up in Mexico City fleeing wartime.
Got it.
America had closed up its borders.
That's a bad story. I don't like that story.
And well, it happened all over the world, So we had a large chunk of our community that ended up in Mexico City, and actually, it was I'm actually really blessed to have that being part of my culture, and that's really a lot of fun. But anyway, the reason I bring that up,
needless to say, I just paid off my student loans like 5 years ago. So I didn't have that same fortunate experience.
That's huge.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm 40.
You're not a young man.
46 years old, right? And so I finally got my student loans paid off like 5 years ago. And so it's a huge problem, and I really hope that one of these presidential candidates, not the burn. Sorry, I'm not feeling the burn, but we have to come up with a better answer for this.
Yeah.
Because college is important. I think it prepares you for the world. I think also, the higher education is super important. But back to the millennial discussion. Let's talk about it. Why the heck are you still at home when you're between the ages of 18 to 34?
Look, and I understand 18, I understand 20, I understand 23, I understand 24, 25. But here's something that really jumped out at me. Between the older the older segment of millennials between the ages of between the ages of 25 to 34,
Right.
19% of them still live at home. So that's huge, right? I mean, and everything has just changed. People seem to be growing up slower than they used to.
Right.
People just stay young longer. And look, maybe it makes sense because we're living longer, but it's amazing how much has changed since my mom's day when, she got married at 18, and not because there was some kind of horrible thing happening at home, but
Right.
she just fell in love with a guy at 18. Her mom had gotten married at 18. She had me at 21 years old.
Right.
My parents are still together. It's not, and I only bring that up not because it's good or bad necessarily if you're still together with your spouse or not, but rather most stories today about someone giving birth at 21 years old is by accident.
Correct.
And it's just a different time. When I look at pictures of my mom, my dad at 22, 23 years old, it's like they were grown people.
Right.
You look at a 22-year-old today and they're children.
Agreed.
It's pretty.
Agreed.
It's amazing.
Agreed.
It's just really interesting. But as far as how it affects the housing market, think about this. You have these, would-be empty nesters, these would-be people that are older, 55 to 64 years old, that are maybe getting, or traditionally would be getting ready to downsize into, their retirement home or, a single level, maybe a ranch-style property, and just kind of go into that phase of their life.
Or even a condo downtown where they can just...
Yeah, maybe they're still kicking...
Yeah, they want to have a good time, right?
Yeah, they want to go to the theater, they want to go to drinks and restaurants and live the good life of an older person.
Who's raised a good family, who's has put money away and, done good for their lives.
Paid their dues, right?
Exactly.
Well, but now they can't do it because... they can't get to that downtown condo because they still have these kids at home. And so it's
They're not
actually...
kids, Dan. They're not kids.
Well,
Dan, they're not kids.
well, and so that what that ends up translating into is you have home owners that are hanging on to their properties longer. Those are homes that would typically have come back to the market, would have represented a purchasing opportunity for a move-up buyer.
Right.
That person would have then, like we said, downsized into something else and gone into a retirement phase. Right. Well, today, that 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom home, they're having to hang on to it for a longer period of time, and it's contributing to this inventory issue that we have as a county.
So, do you think, Dan? My question to you would be: if you were to open up your crystal ball and look into the future, does that mean that whether we get these people out of their homes by just our radio show today, but if they start moving out, are we going to have like a massive amount of inventory hit the market because people are holding back?
No, I mean, I at least don't see that. I think that this is happening over an extended period of time. There's also a lot of multi-generational aspects that are contributing to the inventory issue where, we're talking right now about the millennial that's staying at home, holding that older person back from being able to sell the property. But you also have the younger end of the baby boomers, say the 58-year-olds or so, with the 60-year-olds, with the 80-something, 90-year-old parent. The parents also squeezing or contributing to that baby boomer having to hang on to their home and not being able to get into retirement phase. So, those of you, basically my parents' age, right? Those of you in your 60s you're or so, you feel the pressure on both ends, not just from your children, but from your parents.
Kick them out of the house.
It's an interesting thing that's going on. You're listening, by the way, to news right here to Real Estate Exposed. Daniel Beer, that's me. Anything you need real estate related, and we want to touch on it on a one-on-one basis, give us a phone call. That's what we're here for. We want to connect with you. The number's 800-676-2420.
I'm Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. Again, you want to connect with Tysher or I, 800-676-2420. You can also find Dan and I on Facebook under Real Estate Exposed. You can find it under Daniel Beer Group. You can also look for homes under SanDiegoHomefinder.com. I think it's a great website to be able to search for homes just to see what things are going on.
Or just Google us.
So
we're going to be back with you having fun here. It is a wonderful Sunday morning, and thank you again to all our service people. Hey, welcome back. It is Real Estate Exposed with Daniel Beer. Beer, by the way, is spelled just like the drink, okay? Daniel Beer Group over at Keller Williams. and my man Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. If you haven't ever gotten a rate quote from Todd, if you ever gotten a sense for service, let me tell you, VA. We've been talking a lot about
our vets.
Our vets. It's Memorial Day. If you're getting a VA loan, and I realize I'm going to tread on very sensitive toes here, very, very sensitive, waters. Is that the saying?
That's the saying.
I'm not very good at sayings.
That's all right.
I'm good at trying to say sayings, but I'm not good at sayings.
You got it.
Well, listen, a lot, the tendency tends to be, let me go to USAA, let me go to Navy Fed.
Right.
And I get it, right? Because you are some of the most loyal people on planet Earth. But let me tell you, as somebody that is in the market selling homes on a daily basis, no agent wants to see a pre-approval letter from Navy Federal or from USAA. Why? Because there's a massive service issue. We don't have a go-to person to talk to. We're going to have zero control over timing, over it. It's speaking delicately, but not so much. It can be a nightmarish service experience. And I understand they are phenomenal at banking. They're phenomenal at insurance. They're phenomenal at so many aspects of your life. But get a sense for what it would be to be able to just dial somebody up like Todd on his cell phone and have a rate competitive or better than, and be able to just reach him, whether it be 6 p.m., whether it be 8 a.m.,
9 p.m., 10
right?
p.m.
Be able to talk to somebody rather than having to go through one of these 800 IVR systems, press 1 to talk to this person, 2 to talk to that person, always talking to somebody different. And I'm telling you this as a friend because you and I may never do business, possibly, but I promise we should, and we'd love to. But where I'm going with it is that it's not self-serving. I'm really giving you the keys here to how to get your offer approved. As a VA borrower, unfairly so, because so many listing agents out there don't understand how awesome a VA loan can be, how qualified you are, how solid those approvals are. I've never, literally, Todd, I've never had a VA borrower not come through once we have them approved and everything.
Right.
They come through. A lot of listing agents, though, don't know it. And when there's multiple offers in the marketplace, you might be a VA buyer right now, and you've experienced getting discriminated against by these listing agents and by sellers who prefer a conventional loan because they just think that's what they should prefer when they really should be looking at your loan. But let me tell you, the moment that loan is coming from a direct lender or a local bank or a small bank or just somebody that we can talk to and actually get service from and somebody like Todd Pianin at Home Street, you're going to be looked at more like a conventional buyer. Your offer will be taken more seriously, and you will be doing yourself a massive service. Just give us a phone call. More importantly, give Todd a phone call.
What a great commercial for me, Jay.
Well, it's
Dan,
not.
Thank you.
It is frustrating to me. I see this all the time, right? I see this all the time where we're representing a buyer who has a VA loan and they decided to stick with Navy Fed or with USAA instead of taking us up on going with someone like you. And what we get is the moment that other agent sees USAA or Navy Fed, or the moment that seller sees it, they push back and they don't want it, whether they've already experienced the service headaches with those two companies or whether they are just... maybe it's an issue. God, it's just a tough thing.
Yeah, let's.
You have to connect with Todd over here. Get yourself a quote. Get yourself a relationship, most importantly, right? This isn't even a quote issue. It's a relationship and a service issue. 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420. That's the number to connect with us.
So let's talk about something that looks like our astute governor is coming out with. He is coming out with, Dan, I don't know if you read this or not. I don't know if you saw this, but if you are applying for new construction, that for you to get approved, and I could be reading this wrong. I'm not exactly a politician or a legislator, but this seems pretty huge to me. That 80% of the project can be for everybody else, but 20% needs to be affordable housing.
20%?
20%. So let's just take let's just take a condo project in San Francisco.
And he signed this already.
He's pushing it through. I think it's pushing it through the legislation right now, and they say it'll be the biggest shift in California housing.
That's devastating.
Since Prop 16 or 13 or whatever, when they didn't increase those people's taxes. But I mean, think about this, Dan. You got a you have an apartment building you want to turn into a condo project. So you want to get the condo project approved. You can sell your top floor units for $3 million, $4 million, $5 million in San Francisco. They have beautiful views, the Golden Gate Bridge. But 20% of the building has to be for affordable housing. And if that's the case, they're going to get the same condo, the Sub-Zero refrigerator, the Wolf Range, for affordable housing.
But where the huge pain point that I'm seeing is you're somebody who's held on to this property for X amount of years. You made a really wise investment. This is America. You are supposed to be able to prosper in the free market.
Correct.
And now you have a government that comes down and it's basically redistributing wealth, right? It's Bernie Sanders at his best. It is.
You got Pardee who's owned land forever, right?
Horrible.
So they got to do 20% of their homes in that land development have to be for affordable housing.
That's amazing, right? I mean, Pardee, who bought the entire 56 corridor pretty much here in San Diego, for being smart as they were, holding on to that land long as they did, foregoing profits year after year after year after year in order to hold that land till when they thought it was the right time. You're saying that 20% of that now gets sold off or built out as affordable housing.
Correct.
I hate that.
I mean,
is that okay if I just say I hate that?
You can say you hate it. I don't like it either. I think it's unfairly unjust. And you're basically what's going to end up happening is let's go back to the condo project rule for the sake of argument. You go back to the condo project rule. The people who are going to get who are going to get, pardon my French, ruined by this situation are the people who actually have to pay more. They're going to pay more.
We need to get a list, by the way, of the words we can say and can't say on the radio.
Exactly, Mike. We don't know.
Can you work on that for us, Mike?
I don't know if I can say the word I want to say.
I mean, anyway.
But they're going to have to overpay for a unit. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's for example, my mom lives in Santa Monica in Los Angeles, and she has a rent control apartment, so she pays like $800 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment. Literally blocks from the beach.
And we're lucky we don't have rent control here.
Yeah, we are very lucky. She pays like $800 a month.
Yeah.
Maybe she pays $1,100. 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment.
Wow.
Her neighbor pays $5,000 a month for the same apartment.
That's unbelievable.
Yes. So it's the same idea, though.
But, the issue here is, the biggest issue I see is because I live in a new development where there was affordable housing that was mandated, or I don't know if it was actually, let me take that back, because I don't know if it was mandated or if it was just some kind of incentive for the developer to put it in or not. But I live in Del Sur, okay? Del Sur up kind of northeast of Carmel Valley, just west of the 15, west of Rancho Bernardo. Really cool family area, really fast-growing, up-and-coming neighborhood, and with just phenomenal schools, et cetera. But anyway, I've paid a pretty penny to get into the neighborhood, okay?
Right.
And very pretty penny to get into the school system, and I pay massive taxes, and I pay Melrose, and I pay HOA, and I pay the whole thing. And to be honest with you, and I'm not sure if this is okay or not, but whatever, I'm going to be very real with you. There's affordable housing, a few affordable housing projects in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I hate it. And not only do I hate it, everybody in the neighborhood hates it. It's not, when you work your ass off, and I hope that word's on the list, Mike, of approved words. When I have worked my ass off all my life to raise my family in a neighborhood like the one we're in, there are issues. I'm sorry to say, but there are issues around it. There have been vandalism issues. There have been issues. And no, I'm not saying that anyone in affordable housing goes through that. Of course not. Right. First of all, you should know, I used to live in affordable housing. I grew up in affordable housing, okay, in Chula Vista and Bonita, actually, on Bonita Road. I grew up there, but there's
Well, Dan, you know where I live. There's affordable housing all around me.
Around you.
Right. I mean, on both sides. I mean, to my right, and then when you go to the left, there's tons of affordable housing.
But what really gets me, Todd, is sometimes the affordable housing crowd, because we, as a neighborhood, we pay our HOA and we have a lot of events and so on.
Right.
The only reason that we don't like it there isn't because it goes without incident. It's because you would think they'd be so happy to live there. There's just this world of entitlement we live in, right? But you'd think they'd be so happy, so thankful. They get to go to the schools, all good, and they would just be a great part of the community, and then it would be wonderful.
Right.
But the truth is there is incident. There's always this like kind of clash, or they'll go and vandalize the pool, and there's just these issues. You know, if you drive up and down the main street there, you'll see the police there from time to time.
Right.
And it's just uncomfortable. I don't like it for a number of reasons.
I just want us all to get along. I mean, fortunately, the community right next to my home they're really actually they clean up. I mean, I see people out there taking care of the lawn. They're really they're really cognizant. So I've had a different experience. With that community, they're really protective and happy that they get to live where they live. So it's actually been a good thing.
99% of them are great people.
Right.
They're people. Their kids are gonna. When my kid starts going to the schools, their kids are gonna be invited over to my house to play.
Exactly.
It's not mixed issues here.
Right.
The issue is that you get the 1% and they become a louder voice than the rest.
Correct.
You're listening to Real Estate Exposed here on News Radio 600 KOGO. We're going to be back with you talking more real estate, San Diego County. What a great place to be. If you want to connect with Todd or I, the number's 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420.
Welcome back to Real Estate Exposed on KOGO 600 AM. You're sitting here with me, Todd Pianon from Home Street Bank, and I have to tell you, the number one agent in San Diego County, Dan Beer, who's all across the county, works all across the county, has already done, I would say, 90 transactions year to date, whether in escrow or closed. Just moved over to KW Real Estate, which is the number one real estate company in the.
I believe they're the highest selling company in San Diego County. They're definitely the biggest company in North America. Awesome.
So if you didn't make it to our home selling seminars, Dan actually gave away his secrets on how he sells so many homes in such a short period of time. Also, one of the things I want you to know is he separates his business. When I mean by he separates his business, and it's unbelievable because a lot of realtors, an average realtor does 3 to 4 homes a year. Dan has already put in or closed over 90 transactions year to date. That's amazing. It's right. Currently, it's just him, a listing specialist, and he has a buyer's agent and has a buyer's agent assistant, a showing agent. All I can tell you is that Dan only works with sellers, and his buyer's agent only works with buyers. And when I'm ready to list my home, when I have listed my homes in the past, he is the person I would use because he looks out for what's best for you. And his 5-day blitz, if you missed it, it's incredible. He's a disruptor in the real estate selling space. He's taken over as the number one realtor in North County, San Diego, very quickly in a very short period of time, completely revamped his business in the last 3 years. To shoot these numbers up, you have to give him a call. You have to call 800-676-2420. You have to have him come out to your home. Even if your house is a mess, and you want to paint, you want to change floors, you want to change bathrooms, you want to do something, I'm telling you, you have to meet with my man Dan. 800-676-2420. And if you're thinking about buying a home, we've had Brian Danny on our show before, and he is the best buyer specialist I have ever met in my entire career. It's been a long career, like Dan always likes to joke about. We call him the one and done. So what that means is he will find you the house that you want to buy, and he gets you into escrow on the house that you want to buy. So I mean, it's such a pleasure to do the show with you, Dan. I just have to tell you, I
appreciate that, man. Seriously.
You have to call him, 800-676-2420.
You know, we're doing some fun things right now with this internet, a lot of international marketing. We're having our listings translated into over 80 languages and having ads put in foreign countries on all of the foreign country listing portals. So to directly go after them, we're developing relationships with brokers all over the world, in China, in Russia, in Germany, in England. We're doing some really cool things. We're also now leveraging New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Robb Report, so that, for the right homes, they need to be in the right places. And nobody understands that better than we do. It's something that we think is going to really push us through here as we start to enter this new market phase that we are going into.
Well, which you've talked about, So I think that super excited to be working with him. Anyway, back to Real Estate Exposed on KOGO 600 AM.
We had an amazing home selling workshop
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. We had an incredible series. Todd was there presenting everything that's going on in the market. Interest rates, where are they now? Where are they likely to go? Consumer confidence, how does that play into the home sale and home purchasing process? He was talking about we were looking very closely at the pricing index. Where are we? Where do we come from? And Todd walked everybody through that so we could understand the current selling environment and the current purchasing environment. So you need to hook up with Todd if you want to get that analysis on a one-on-one basis, and you can actually he could personalize it for you. Number for that is 800-676-2420. More than anything, we are really just pumped up as ever to be able to help so many of you. It's been fun connecting with you, meeting with our listeners, going to your homes, having you go in and meet with Todd. Refinancing opportunities right now galore. Get in touch. God bless you. Happy Memorial Day. The number's 800-676-2420.
Home Street Bank, a member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Enjoy your long weekend.